first step of bridging the skills to employment gap. And I truly believe all your insights will really help us draft a better roadmap for Skills for All 2030. One of the key points that has come out from this discussion is around the stronger need for industry collaboration. In this next panel, we will explore how we can improve the engagement between industry, academia and government in delivering skilling programs and creating a more cohesive skilling ecosystem. So for that, I would like to request the panelists to join us on the stage. Mr. Rajashri Mukherjee from Tata Steel, Mr. Saurabh Pathak from Maruti Suzuki. I would request to welcome all our panelists with a huge round of applause. Mr. Salim Ahmed, who is the CEO of Electronic Skill Sector Council. Dr. Rajesh Pankaj from FWICI. Ms. Shefali Sharma from MSc. And Mr. Shahid Kamli from FCIK. We also have with us on BC Dr. Jay Prakash from Tamil Nadu State Development Corporation. Vijay from GDI Partners will be the moderator for the session. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon. So welcome to the panel discussion on enabling ecosystem coordination for systemic scaling reforms. So I would just like to begin with a reference to a powerful statement that the Chief Secretary mentioned in his opening remarks. The illiterate of the future will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. And this two-day conference is poised to figure out pathways to figure out these opportunities of learning, unlearning and relearning. But in a country as vast and diverse as ours, it's not a eureka moment to figure out that no single player can shoulder the burden of development alone. This is more than evident. Across different development metrics, we often talk about scale, but true scale is not actually achieved through replication alone. It is a coordinated effort of convergence, coherence, and coordination. So the skilling ecosystem is a complex and layered network of stakeholders, each playing a different role in shaping and delivering skills. Government and government agencies have played a major role since time immemorial, but we also see that private sector contribution is also something that cannot be neglected, especially in the recent past. But truth be told, despite all these collective efforts of various stakeholders, the skilling ecosystem continues one major challenge, which is the lack of coordination. With government bodies, industry, academic institutions, and private players all playing a major role, these actors often function in silos, resulting in fragmented and less effective skilling delivery. However, there is a growing and clear intent to move towards a more integrated approach, one that can unlock meaningful employment outcomes for the region. So going forward, collaboration and not isolation must serve as a foundation for building a dynamic, responsive, and cohesive skilling ecosystem. So before I begin, a quick caution on the time. We are already behind schedule by 1 hour. So we just request all the panelists to keep it very brief and to the point so that we are able to cover all the topics that are intended to be discussed. Yeah. So let me quickly introduce the panelists once again. We often talk about decentralization, and decentralization is one key development principle which we all have agreed that have yielded results, but there are few states which have really actually implemented this on ground and are currently reaping benefits of it. And it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Jay Prakash, the CEO of Tamil Nadu Skill Development Corporation, who has joined us virtually today. Dr. Jay Prakash has played a pivotal role in steering Tamil Nadu's skilling strategy, most notably through the state's flagship initiative, Non-Motor One. which is an outcome-driven skilling program that has already issued over 22.4 lakh certifications and connecting even the last mile citizens of the state. Welcome, sir. And at this juncture, at this juncture in India's economic journey, the role of private sectors in driving growth is both acknowledged and deeply valued, especially in critical areas like skilling, where a capable workforce drives the economic momentum. Industry players have stepped up, contributed through innovation, collaboration, and co-owned delivery models. So we are pleased to have with us today Mr. Saurabh Pathak, the Vice President of Corporate Planning at Maruti Suzuki India Private Limited. At Maruti Suzuki, Mr. Saurabh has been at the forefront of leading strategic talent development and cross-functional planning, playing a key role in companies' efforts towards skilling, capacity building, and aligning the workforce in companies' efforts to align with the future needs of mobility sector. Welcome, sir. We've also witnessed that some organizations have consistently gone beyond profits and have gone beyond the mandates of norms like CSR and have truly contributed to the society. And the exemplar organization in this is undoubtedly the Tata Group. And today we are honored to have with us Mr. Rajesh Mukherjee, Head of Partnerships, Program Development at Tata Steel. With operations across 24 states, 156 active skill development centers, Tata Strive has touched the lives of over 1.34 million individuals as of date. Welcome to you, sir. And when we talk about industrial collaborations, we often focus on enterprises, but it's equally important to acknowledge the policy and institutional frameworks that guide and enable these efforts. We're pleased to have with us today Dr. Rajesh Pankaj, Director of Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a seasoned policy expert with over 2 decades of experience in education, internationalization, and industry academic collaboration. Welcome, Dr. Rajesh. On the similar lines, I also welcome Mr. Shahid Kamli, the President of Federation of Chamber of Industries, Kashmir. As the President of Federation of Chamber of Industries, Kashmir, Shahid Kamli represents a wide network of industrial associations across both the organized and unorganized sectors, advocating for the interest of local enterprises and MSMEs in the region. Welcome, sir. In a vast and layered skilling ecosystem, the role of support organizations that connect the dots between stakeholders is very critical. And these organizations often help to bridge the gap between what the industry demands and what the skilling supply actually is. And sectoral skilling initiatives have played a major role in this. And we are pleased to have with us today Mr. Salim Ahmed, officiating head of Electronic Sector Skill Council of India. It has trained over 20 lakh professionals for the electronic system design and manufacturing industry. Well, and at the heart of all skilling initiatives are the citizens themselves. Individuals who, when given meaningful access, have become true drivers of progress. And as we celebrate scale and innovation, it's equally important to acknowledge the last mile citizen who might be left out. Systemic inclusion of women and citizens from marginalized communities not only brings equity, but also adds depth and impact to the ecosystem. We're delighted to have Ms. Shefali Sharma, consultant with Sankalp Division at MSP, with expertise in gender inclusion, livelihoods and skill development across government and multinational organizations. Her insights will be a valuable addition to this discussion. Welcome, Mr. Chair. So our discussion today focuses on enabling ecosystem coordination for systemic skilling reforms as we delve into key levers of convergence, governance, and coordination that will truly strengthen the skilling ecosystem. So to begin with, our first theme explores the value that industry truly brings to skilling programs, not just as funders or placement providers, but as co-creators of meaningful learning experiences. So we'll examine how industry participation can drive relevance, innovation, and quality. So let me begin by bringing in Mr. Saurabh Pathak. Sir, given your extensive experience in skilling and capacity building, can you share some specific value-added contributions that industries have made, be it in learning, design, innovation, or curriculum co-creation. Overall, how have these efforts improved the skilling experience for learners?
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, have a look on my team's left. The youngsters with blue t-shirts and blue suit. They are one of the skilled experts who not only brought proud to Jammu and Kashmir state or national front, but some of them represented our country at a global level. And they are the ones where I have interestingly, some of them are in their 10th and 12th. I talked with them. Now, although we say that it has come from industry and the government, etc., but for many of them it was their passion which they brought forward and they brought knowledge to the country as well. So that's a good thing. So there is a lot of need already with the users. Now we as industry and institute and government partners on various fronts to bring these individuals up for the state as well as for the country and for their own as well. So we at Maruti Suzuki have been doing a whole lot of things in terms of skill development area. Not only we partner with various ITIs on areas of service, manufacturing, safety, production, and so on. But we partnered in designing the curriculum also. It took us a little bit of more efforts with respective government agencies at the state, even at the central level also they agreed on some of the courses which we designed specifically on the automotive domain, and that too which were needed at the employment level. So that is something which we did. There was one, we talked about Honorable Chief Secretary and Head of Skill Development. They also talked about model ITIs. So one of the first initiatives which was done in this country for model ITI was in Japan India Institute for Manufacturing, where we partnered with the Government of India, Government of Japan. We had partnership with Jetro and Maruti Suzuki along with Suzuki Motors brought in their first Japan India Institute of Manufacturing in Gujarat. So that was one. Thereafter we had worked on more. Also in terms of our higher order skills, when we talk about train the trainers, which is of course one of the integral parts in most of our skill development, we generally hear about the students, but very few of us talk about the teachers who are going to make these students learn more and make them more relevant. So they have to stay relevant, then only can they make students relevant for the future roles. So in that regard, we had worked extensively in one of the centers. We came up with International Automotive Center for Excellence, and that again was a public-private partnership. It was Government of Gujarat and Maruti Suzuki 50-50 partnership, where we brought in this International Automotive Center for Excellence, where one of the key areas is also to train the trainers in areas of operational excellence, manufacturing, product, specifically related to automotive and safety. Of course, behavioral skills, Japanese way of working. Japanese are very good in terms of manufacturing sustainable practices. So this is one area, and as my CHRO, Mr. Salil Lal also told about, that we had partnered with various state governments, and maybe this is one more area where we can work on more. Another, just on this skill aspect is, we do understand the need of the curriculum has to change, and that's where interestingly, I remember some of the early course which was on design, engineering drawing, which is there with ITI. The curriculum is so tough that it is very much equivalent to what we studied in our engineering. It needs to be brought down. I remember this was done by MSD a couple of years back. They more out from these kind of very difficult curriculums and more to do on with practice. So that's three things from my side. We will take on further.
Thanks so much. And major insights that we could draw from here is the relevance of trainers, as you rightly pointed out. It's important to build on the existing infrastructure and keep on upgrading it so that the relevance stays important in the overall scheme of things. And you also mentioned about how cross-learning beyond boundaries, like your partnership with Japan government and the government of India, truly helped to bring in certain strengths that the Japan ecosystem had to the local land. And we also talked about how curriculum needs to be constantly updated so that there is a constant communication between what the supply and demand really is. Thank you so much, sir. And to build on that, over to Mr. Salim Agar. So given your involvement in industry partnerships within the electronics sector, could you share some examples where industry engagement have gone beyond just formal agreements and MOUs and have really yielded on-ground benefits for the learners?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks so much. And thank you for inviting me here on the panel. I think industry collaboration is the core of the SSC because we have been promoted by National Skill Development Corporation, but co-promoted by the 6 industry associations, namely ACINA, SIAMA, NITE, ACOMA, ISA. And these 6 associations collectively represent the total electronics sector. So in a way, they are bridged to the industry. And we work very, very closely with the industry because right from the ratification and validation of our qualification, which are validated by the industry. And we have a NOS committee each of subsectors. We have 9 subsectors across the spectrum of the electronic systems and manufacturing, from IP hardware to consumer electronics, right to very complex center. We work very closely with the industry. We have 4,000 industry partners with whom we work very, very closely. From let's say the members of our revision of our qualifications to apprenticeship, and we also have a variant distance water, distance water is important. But beyond the normal relationship we have drawn, actually we have now a very strong bond, and we are working on 6 or 7 large CSR projects, wherein the industry is supporting some projects there, especially skill development. So one of them is LG Electronics, where we have made 4 LG Hope Academies with BCCI. We are doing the academy, but we are not LG. It is a complete end-to-end qualification of the certification. And also the testing. They have 100% testing. These 4 academies are located in Delhi, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, and Jaipur. So this we have an agreement to a scale of 6,000 students over a period of 3 years, and we are. Apart from that, we are working very closely with Samsung on this case. There is those projects where 3,000 students are mobilized. They are giving 150-hour training, and they are placed in these stores for on-the-job training. This is because there is subsequent again these people are dropped by Samsung distributors after completion of training. Similarly, we are doing any project on the same hand. Apart from that, we work with other corporates like Quantum, ABB, and other corporates. So we have expanded our footprint from traditional government business into industry. One more thing I would like to highlight here is that working very closely with Schneider for certification of all the electricians across the country. We do over 25,000.
I think the most important takeaway here was how each of your initiatives beyond these numbers have a certain outcome attached to it, right? So we're always talking about certain initiatives in terms of how many people were trained, but you briefly mentioned about how many people eventually got placed and what is the outcome at the end of the program, which I think you said. And these are some of the examples of impact at ground level, but for lasting system change, we need more than transactional support, right? We need certain structural partnerships in place. And this brings us to a broader question around ownership. So beyond offering support, where does industry truly step in to co-own the skilling process? And for this, I would request Dr. Rajesh Pankaj to share some thoughts. So could you again share some examples or models rather, where industry has actively co-invested and co-delivered skilling initiatives, and particularly models that are scalable and replicable across geographies?
Thank you so much. Okay, so of course, I'll answer the question. There are multiple of them, many, a few of them sitting right there. They said So I'll now go to the fundamental, aspect of how we go about getting this whole ecosystem involved and involved to a level that we all are wanting to. There are multiple speakers who spoken and highlighted various facets of scaling. We've had like more than 21 years of skills practice as a National Industry Association body. I have been working virtually with all the important stakeholders that you possibly think of. So you have the INS, NCE, Deputy Body NCE, agency like NCC, all the state SSDMs, and then of course you have on the other hand the various large corporates that are working in those big time and into this ecosystem. The big bang schemes that government of India and various states government has launched and has looked into. So if we look at it very fundamentally as to what is it that we could really look at this framework in order to ensure that we be able to reach that level or get closer to reaching that level. Scaling is of course in a state of radical transformation for right reasons. There's nothing new that one would highlight for JNK. Whatever we discussed in the morning, like what is in fact, many countries also we have done multiple engagements and that lot of partnerships and exposure to this. It's just that there could be certain areas that JNK needs to improve upon, but there are certain strong areas that JNK has. So fundamentally the problem still remains the same, and which is what this session in fact is very when it comes to articulate, we have kind of highlighted it. Planning Commission, when it existed, used to do a lecture, where party talked about various reforms. There was this Japanese scholar who had come in October 23, 2014, when she had said that she had studied the skilling and higher education system in 100 countries. And she has seen a pattern behavior. There's something called GER, gross enrollment ratio, and so what I'm trying to say is nothing to be very stressed about in skilling of India, and we validate this, right? It's observation which is 100 countries. And then quickly comes to the point of this, and very quickly. So when a country has a gross enrollment ratio of 50%, so in the age group of 18 to 23, X number of students attend higher education. So India was about 13.5% there, versus almost 30% now. So about 1.2 crores in higher education. You would have degrees and degrees would get you jobs. That applied everywhere, in all the countries right now. But the moment that threshold level of 50% crosses, skill sets become very important. Employers look for those nuances, those softer aspects of employability, and which is something that we are now witnessing as far as employers are concerned. But what we are not witnessing is that element of taboo still there. Forceful parents, investing students, Gen Z picking up, and of course in 5 years down the line. So the mindset issue which is actually skills was having is a fundamental issue out of more fundamental where we need to work upon. Reforms, intervention, getting industry engaged, getting all of that is a skill process that will happen, and it will happen with time. It's not going to happen overnight. But these are more fundamental in nature which needs to be looked into and evolve with time, and once we cross that threshold, they're good. So the mindset problem. Skilling perhaps is not seen as a space. You were seeing that vocation, yes. It's not being seen as a mainstream piece, right? Employers have started seeing that. The smart employers are smart, they started seeing it. Students who experience now 3, 4, 5 years down the line from whatever campaign, all of that, parents also look at, and which is the base matrix comes in. As people will be pushing very hard. There's not exploitation in full space of skills, right? A very uneven and ambiguous structure of standards getting created, and let me take you at the outset, no matter what. 90% of the parents and students who opt for certain things because the career is close, right? Entrepreneurship, all of that is fine to a certain extent. So therefore, the base metrics. So all of this has to come together and then taboo gets diluted and all of that. So students also to an extent, but parents also have to contribute. Therefore, skilling will eventually come in. This is the mindset part of the story. The other part of the story, of course, is the government, which is amazing. I must have attended some 500 plus presentations last 18, 19 years of career series. I've never seen a presentation like the one that I went to point which absolutely talks about the right thing. And let me tell you, these presentations are important. See, there's nothing called quick fix solution. We have a workshop today, by the end of tomorrow, you'll not have a quick fix solution for sure. This is a evolution journey. I'm getting sense of it, right? So therefore, these deliberations, these presentations are super important. And why is it important? Because the other piece which I want to highlight is dissemination. There's a major gap which again was getting highlighted. There are multiple schemes and good work that's happening which has not been disseminated well. Both within industry, surprisingly, and my industry, we do a lot of industry sensitization workshops, industry clusters, requesting industry to take up apprentices. So we do many of them. And surprisingly, there are many industries that hire in turn apprentices, and they're not aware that the scheme has taken away a lot of archaic clauses that it had. And it was surprising to us, and those companies are employing apprentices. So demystification, dissemination, orientation at all levels, not just at the level of students and institutions, but also industry. So therefore, these presentations, this discussion, getting people together, talking about all this is also important. In addition to fundamental frameworks that we also have to create. I know we do all the discussion about the project report that we created. So I think from that sense, good work is happening. MSP, NCPT, SSDMs of state, they all have to, and this chaos will continue for some more time. But we should simultaneously also start looking at those broad-handed pieces, which is like getting industries in a room, getting them brainstorm, engaging district level associations. Of course, we have multiple states in country, and getting those insights from by the way we've done our future of jobs report. These are static reports that we do. 2 years, 3 years perspective plan, nobody will have an answer. So we reach out to 100 CXOs. So every year we identify 5 sectors. So we have done 15 sectors covered. We reach out to CXOs, get a sense from them, what job roles, which job will fit, all of that. Extrapolate it, put in a report, 2.5 years protection. Because sector skills actually was highly declared. It will be great if we have a real-time dashboard or a dynamic framework where real-time feeding starts happening both from industry, institution, everyone. Of course, that will take time, but that will the time that happens. These reports also really recognize. So for policymakers, for industry, all of that. So as far as these stakeholders coming to this concern, we are engaged with industry, institution, and also policymakers, and get this future of jobs put done, where we try sectorally project something in terms of what numbers will job. That's one part. Second part, I talked about the sensitization workshop of apprentices. 3 years that ITIs are the cornerstone of scaling. The way you have university system for hiring, you have ITIs for scaling. And a very critical area, apart from the curriculum upgrade and all that is instructor development program and leaders, the principles of ITI. See, at some point in time, industry has adopted many ITIs, 2016, all of that, and all of them. There are amazing ITIs by the way. This is a heavy resistance from there. The IMC and all that, I'm not getting into the granularity of discussion. So IMC that get created will only happen if you have real-time, forward-looking, disruptive, and willing to embrace all those things. So ITI is a critical area which needs to be reformed, and I'm sure this massive scheme that's launched by the government sector also is a great start. 1,000 ITIs out of 50,000 is a good number to get a sense of as to how industry is engaging, how it's standing out, and going forward in JNK, what are 50 plus ITIs and 20 plus politics that we have, we also have a small policy. So that's one piece. Apprenticeship takes time and separation to ensure that if we make apprenticeship the order that we give. My colleague Jaya, of course, from CIT talked about the time to internship. Internship is another super important area that we can look into. Career counseling has been discussed big time. Believe me, NEP has collected 5% of institutions both in skilling domain and higher have a career counseling ecosystem. It's so important to give a sense in terms of what their purpose, what their interests are. And that will take care of a lot of mismatch and gaps that exist. These are very basic things, but we need to push very hard. So what I'm trying to say is nothing, all of the change that you're looking at may not come fundamentally as an intervention. There are certain things that are there, you just have to keep pushing hard, identify that as fundamental pillars, and things will start from happening. As we keep doing traditional cluster development program, something that change is very important. So you've done Northeast, some 7, 8 batches, 6 days capacity building program. So there are certain pockets, ODOP. If we try and formalize those clusters and really make it big economic contribution, catering to a segment which is very strong there. So as we keep committed to working on these, on it, and that's very fundamental.
Thank you so much, and I really like how you completely dismissed my question on the example. But I think, So I think the fundamental was again more than the examples. It was more about what drives these examples and what drives these models, right? And that was really insightful in the perspective that scale. When we talk about scale, like you mentioned, we talk about replication, but it's not about replication. It's about setting the basis, right? And that's one of the major takeaways that I get from all the exit, and you briefly talked about the various factors that really govern these models, which I think are more important than the examples themselves, right? Which are ways we talked about how wage could become a problem in the future, and we talked about the mindset of people, how that needs to reform. And you also talked about how demystification and dissemination at all levels is very important. It's not just about these conferences, but also how do we take it to ground, how do we really do it on ground. So that was really insightful. Thank you, Dr. Rakesh, for that. And I'll quickly also invite Mr. Rajshri Mukherjee from Tata Steel. And primary reason is also because your model is effectively blending industry insights with learner-centric approaches, right? And again, I will not throw more of the examples of how Tata Steel has collaborated. But from your experiences, what are those important elements that are required to bring in relevance and quality to skilling programs? I'm sure you would have faced a lot of this with your active centers on ground.
So, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, my esteemed panel members. I'm Rajesh and I represent Tata Steel. Tata Steel is part of a not-for-profit trust for the Tata Community. The organization was formed back in 10 years back. 2014 is when the trust was registered, and our first training center started in Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh in 2015. We are just 10 years old. In these 10 years, we have seen a sea change in the way the skill development system has kind of grown and matured in this country. We have seen how in those initial days, the money was getting pumped into this particular sector without enough focus on quality, without enough focus on quality data inputs and all, and how things have changed over the years. And I'm very happy to say that as an organization, we have played a very minuscule role, but an important role in kind of enabling some of these changes and also showing the path so that some of these changes can be executed. When we started as an organization, we were a little reluctant to partner with the government. So it was more of a private partnership at that point in time. And coming from the Tata Group, which is a solid group software conglomerate, we always had this opportunity in the knowledge capital that was there in the group itself. So the point that how industry can make a very telling, can play a telling role in terms of defining how the scaling should happen. I think many organizations who have partnered with us for a significant amount of time now, they have kind of helped us understand that. Starting with curriculum development. Today we have 50 plus short-term courses that we offer to the learners. And all these courses have been defined or created with industry partners. Then we have training of trainer programs. Training of trainer without the industry understanding what industry looks for is a futile exercise. So how to marry this and how the industry can provide the inputs that training of trainer program can do it in the best possible way. That is something where the industry has understood. Every course that we do today has an OJT component based. Industry from day one has been working on this already. Every program that we do would be potential employment opportunities and hence case very important. Entrepreneurship is something that we have already entered into, and again, industry plays a very important role in terms of mentoring the entrepreneurs for a significant period of time after entering. So everywhere there is a definite role that industry plays. So we are very happy in terms of the way we are engaging with industry and with that kind of structuring these programs. We also realize that to get scale and to gain scale rather, and to take this program to the masses, the government partnerships was and that is where we felt that we should definitely take our solutions that we have built, which ranges from short-term skilling to entrepreneurship to counseling in the space, multiple technology solutions that we have. How can that be taken to the masses? And that is where partnership with the government became important. First thing is the industry model started in the state of Odisha, wherein we started work in the ITI space. and that was about ensuring employability skills is taught in a very structured way to all ITIs. We started with 10 government ITIs, today we are across 70 government ITIs, all the 70 government ITIs. And ITIs became a fulcrum of everything that we did, because as some of my co-panelists also pointed out, that ITIs are, it's like the epitome of skilling in the country, right? And they have been struggling, but there is a definite opportunity to revive them. And how can Tata Steel or any such organization play a role in partnership with the industry in the development of the ITI was an important area of focus. Hence, we worked on a unique model for the dual PhD program. It is based on the German dual PhD model, which allows the learner to actually start working in the industry while they are still completing their education. So, the best place to implement such a program in the Indian diaspora was the ITI. Because in ITI, if you look at an electrician would spend 2 full years in the ITI and only third year would get an opportunity to apprentice or get placed. How can we transform that, change that? Why not in the first year itself the person gets an opportunity to work in the industry? So that is something that we brought in with the 12 people program. We've extended this further with Bajaj as a partner, wherein again in government ITIs, even some private ITIs, we have introduced a unique program called the Bajaj Manufacturing System, which is about introducing the PPM concept to ITI. PPM happens to be a very important program, especially for those in manufacturing. And it's imperative that learners, while they are still studying, get these concepts. That is another program that is being done. And many such models that we have done a program for training drivers and conductors, we call them captains and guides in Odisha, on soft skills, so that they become the ambassadors of the city of Bhubaneswar. Many such actions that we have brought into the model. We have categorically stayed away from industry too much into government schemes, because government schemes like PMKY and all, they come with their own set of restrictions in terms of number of hours of training and all. We wanted to come out of that, hence we have done that. But at the same time, with government, we have introduced very critical programs, important programs, which are game changing and can help define the overall roadmap of skilling in a specific state. We have, in Odisha, for example, we have taken a very statewide approach. We have done almost every part of the skilling ecosystem in the state is now being kind of catered to by Tata, right? And we definitely would want to work in a similar fashion in many places.
I think it's the right time that we have this conference. So, you talked about how initially there was a reluctance and how it became a partnership. It's high time that we also realize that it's not always government versus private, but government and private, how can we collaborate and partner together. And I'm sure there are many such examples of organizations which have now moved from this reluctance phase to partnering with government. And ideally, one point I really put forward was with the partnership with government, you really can reach out to masters and achieve that together. And I think that's a major takeaway for me from this. So moving on to our next theme, and we'll try to keep it very brief. So we talk about how to design sustainable industry partnerships, where we'll explore successful public-private collaborations that have not only deepened industry involvement, but also have driven long-term systemic impact. Okay? And right away I'll go to Dr. Jayprakash, and you will be closely working and being involved in leveraging private partnerships in your non-urban program. So in your view, what are the key incentives that industry partners seek when engaging in such skilling programs?
Members and also their respective guests. Are you audible?
Yes.
Right. So sorry I could not be able to attend physically. I am very much thankful to the State Director for enabling me to join virtually. Regarding the industry partnership, let me share our experience. I am from the Ministry of Skill Development, from the Department of Training, and dealing with the entire IT examinations and the IT also. In Tamil Nadu, we are moving to a skilling for a future ready Tamil Nadu. Skilling was not only confined to the ITI or school dropouts. We are Tamil Nadu, we are focusing on skilling on higher education domains. No? So what we do is, we are integrating. So So we are making the industry integrated skilling, that is partnering the global industries like Appium, Microsoft, Google, Oracle, Infosys, AWS, Resort, Autodesk, like industries, we are integrating the curriculum into the academic system. So we have a special scheme called a non-motherhood, that is a transformation initiative, skilling initiative in higher education. We make skilling as mandate in the higher education of engineering college, arts and science, polytechnic, and also ITI, where every semester we made one industry ready skill as mandate. And the syllabus are approved by the Board of Studies, and the students also getting 2 credits, and the assessment done by the industry will be reflected on the mark sheet of the candidate. That means, while students from engineering or arts and science, while going out from the college, along with the degree, they have a 6 to 7 skill set certification, which runs around 300 hours of skilling also. So, we made the skilling and knowledge as integrated as a skill competency we are building. So, that way, not only for the domain skills, we added the first semester communication skills, and second semester now digital skills, and third semester employability skills, and fourth semester domain skills. These skills is offered by the industry directly to the college. The industry faculty will visit the college. They offer this skilling as a project-based learning, and every skill course during around 45 hours, which is 2 credits, and the assessment will be done by the industry expert that will be reflected on the marks of the candidates. So the major success is the industry themselves is involved in the skilling of the college students. That was a major transformation we are creating. More or less, we also work with the CSR, more than 24 CSR partners, and in past 3 years, we trained around 41 lakhs of students, and 2,000 plus educational institutions across Tamil Nadu, and 26 lakhs of students through CSR initiative through IBM or Microsoft or Salesforce service Desal. So we are preparing the youth to be industry ready. We are allowing the industry themselves to be part of the skilling ecosystem. And we also train the faculties. More than 1 lakh faculty will train on the strengthening the complete ecosystem of Tamil Nadu. And the last 3 years, around 3.26 lakh students placed in the free placement. So our interest is hackathon, free placement, intent. So instead of placement, we always focus on free placement. That while the students going out from the college, we should be enabled to free placement. That's the objective of the special initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Director. I think the most important point that you highlighted was how skilling is essentially integrated with the education system, right? And that's the major objective of this session also. How do we break these silos and how do we integrate different systemic components together so that there are synergetic initiatives emerging out of that. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And I'd also like to build on that with Mr. Shahid Kambi. So one segment that's often overlooked, and when we talk about private sector in specific, right, is the small and medium enterprises. While they may not have the scale of resources of large corporations, but they do form the backbone of an economy, right? So in your view, how can SMEs play a meaningful role in this skilling ecosystem?
Something different there. We have a lot of experience working here, who are in skill development departments and training there. But our issue is something different. First, we need counsel. We need to counsel the students that what is their difference between the private sector and the government sector. Because we are in a sector where people are used to the government sector, which is to have government jobs. At the same time, now the industry is growing. Industry trying to grow and certain issues fast over the years. It has achieved. Now again. again with the Prime Minister's intervention of this 28,000 crore industry now again comes to work, where we have developed, we are trying to develop an infrastructure of around investment around 50,000 crores. And mostly when it comes up, we have a big issue of students, semi-skilled. With that, we go into a very grave issue because at the end of the day, the investment and the infrastructure is developed for creation of jobs. The government now, today the government is coming with a step it's also focused on creating jobs, skilled jobs, and honorable jobs so that government can employ transformation and economy. With this, what we need first that state with us. We want the students to first get counseling, whether the skills they have skill counselors or leading entrepreneurs, leading players in this will come, and the universities also will be there. We first counsel the students that what we are going to do, what are you going to come. Because as of today, it's still in confusion. The small sector. Now the sector is growing. Now our gold store is the product model is growing now from 20 lakh tons of storage. We need huge infrastructure and huge manpower, skilled manpower, highly skilled manpower for industrial refrigeration. Like now we have in the electronic system. We need people who will be skilled in automobile sector, in this electric sector, and we have now the system coming for the battery, lithium batteries. So we need to focus on career. Because now what we were having those things are gone. We have ample growth because we have outside skilled labor comes or our minimum smallest to smallest because we don't have a skill development here. We try to employ as the president of the CIK, we try to employ people here, but we still don't know what is the difference between the private sector and the system. Okay, we come 10 o'clock and then that we don't get the transported or things. That first that concept is they need a massive counseling, behavioral counseling, where they make understand that you have a lot of job, you have a job protection, you have good salaries and other things. That's very important for us. And then we need to focus. You are all in the stakeholders here. You need to focus on what is our demand, which sectors we need very high, we need precision sectors here. We need mechanical sectors here, we need automobile sector here. Your all automobile, your two automobile manufacturers, both are therefore facing huge shortage of skilled manpower. And in fact, what we need in the pure and mechanical skill, we lack for that. So this mission for the government has created, and the government is very serious about it. You must have seen that the chief secretary of the highest government was he spent all day here. And then the commission, your secretary was there, your finance secretary was there. That means you people also should understand that you government very serious front of that. So we should all focus on this. This is my point.
I think great to understand what are the state-specific challenges and how the ecosystem is evolving, especially when we talk about SMEs. Although big in number, it's still at a very nascent stage how government support is trying to build.
And intake so high, we will not be able to generate that much of manpower. It is so now the big industries are coming, this will industries will be done. big clients are coming. So you need precision in it. You need precision matter for people for precision skill, will be highly skilled. And this salary package will be very high. Because other parts of the country are now saturated. There is the scope of jobs.
Yeah, thank you so much. So quickly moving on to our next scheme, which is localizing skilling programs and coordination mechanisms. So we'll focus on the importance of tailoring skilling programs to local context and how to strengthen regional industry engagement. And the goal primarily here is to ensure that the delivery of training is better aligned with local job demands and economic opportunities. So quickly I'll invite Ms. Shefari to share her views. While localization is very key to making skilling relevant and accessible, it is often overlooks the unique barriers that certain communities face, especially women or marginalized communities. So from your experience, especially working with Sankalp, what are the strategies through which we can include more women and more people who are at the grassroots, who are often left out from these skilling programs?
So when we talk about Jammu and Kashmir, we need to realize that employment in the state in UP is concentrated in a very limited number of districts. So primarily when we talk about employment, it is Kathua, Jammu, Srinagar, Gurgaon, Pulwama, Baramulla and Anantnag, which are the primary employment areas in the state. Also, if we look at the districts that within themselves, we find that there is a lot of diversity in terms of the fact that large-scale industries are concentrated somewhere around Jammu, and in Srinagar we have a large concentration of micro-enterprises, while we have a very thin spread of small and medium enterprises in some of the districts. So we need to keep this perspective in mind, where are the economic opportunities and what are the opportunities all about. And when we look at the supply side, and if we look at the access to education and access to higher education, we can see that there is a lot of disparity. If you look at Jammu and Srinagar, again, they are little more privileged districts which have a higher access to education and higher education, whereas the other districts are somewhat struggling with access to higher education as well as vocational education. Now, looking at the women and disadvantaged participation in this state, again, the workforce participation for women is very low in Jammu and Kashmir. So, how do we bring them forward? Now, one of the critical elements of these exercises is that, we cannot do a top-down approach. We really need to do a lot of homework at the district level. So the districts need to be energized to look at what the scenarios are, what are the kind of participation that we are having, who are the target group for various skilling activities, and what are the economic opportunities that are really available at the district level. At this point, the district skill committees actually play a very important role, and these district skill committees are headed by the deputy commissioners of the district, and they include various important players of the skill ecosystem, which are the labor officers, the skill officers, the social development officers, as well as the industry players. Now, this committee is the central focal point of all skill interventions, and if it is energized properly, and if it is activated properly, it can play a very important role to look at what are the various stakeholders and how best we can align various opportunities to them. Another effective tool is the district skill development plan. So as of now, Jammu and Kashmir has been preparing the district skill development plan, which provide a scenario of it includes 4 components primarily. It looks at the demand side, the supply side, what are the gaps, and what are the action items that can be done. So again, the DSDP becomes a very important tool for us to strategize on what are the interventions that we can undertake to enhance the participation of women and the marginalized group into the skilling system.
Thank you so much.
I have one point to that. Going back to your experience of working in the state of Odisha, when we started in the year 2018, Odisha ITI had approximately 11%. Currently, that number has gone up to approximately 30%. It's a significant shift as being the kind of state that is practically decided to state. I think one factor that has worked really well in the state is the government's focus on creating role models. It's not just about only pushing women to women-oriented courses. That's not the case. They are actually able to create role models even for programs or grades which has been from the way back and almost the last millennium. But then the way it has been structured, the way it has been marketed,